if you could say a few things about taking a leap. You know, that's a term that you've used in the past.
Yeah.
What does it mean to take a leap, and how is that related to your work?
A client of mine, who's an artist, drew a cartoon for me. It shows, here, I'll use this, get these out of here. You know, it shows a person standing at the edge of a cliff, and there's a chasm, you know, between the two cliffs, and a person, the caption, you know, the balloon, I think they call it, says, "Oh my God, I'll never make it." And the reality is that it's like a 6-inch chasm. So the leap is to risk doing that which is very unfamiliar and scary, which is because of the fixed Gestalten. So a person is afraid to raise their voice when they're angry, because they learned that was the conditioning as a child and so forth. And something terrible is going to happen if you accidentally spill hot water on me and I yelled at you for it, our relationship would dissolve. That kind of catastrophic expectation. So the leap is to, after the ground, building the ground of a relationship first between therapist and client, and then the awareness of the fixed Gestalt, which I don't use the term fixed Gestalt with clients, but the awareness, I use automatic behavior more likely, or stuff that you become an expert in. You become an expert in hiding your anger, whatever it is. Anyway, once that awareness has evolved, to then take the leap, the perceived leap at least. It's either a leap or a perceived leap. Could be a leap, but to risk doing something different that's very awkward, unfamiliar. A leap is a very heavy-duty experiment. It's one on the continuum of something either new but not scary to new and terrifying. Terrifying is the leap, but anything in between, or all of that qualifies as an experiment, which is to simply do something new, other than the automatic or fixed behavior, which carries us through, but not necessarily in a lively, satisfying way.
Is there a method you use to structure these experiments? Do you just come out with them out of the blue, or how do you?
It varies. Like I remember in the workshop this past weekend, there was one time where I didn't do any preparation with a particular person because I was confident he was ready to go. I didn't need to say, the usual, or what I often say is, so I have an experiment to suggest to you, and it's about doing something different, blah, blah, blah. But in this case, I just said, I want you to come out in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
And he did, because he was ready. So, depending upon the individual's, my perception of the individual's readiness, I do a lot of preparation or anything between that and no preparation. Yeah.
Mm. Did you have any, what was your insight in terms of, I think I know who you're speaking of, the gentleman with the blindfold in the middle of the group. Did you have any thoughts about that? Was that a creative moment, or did you structure, why the center of the group, why the blindfold? Why?
It was a creative moment, yeah. I mean, I didn't plan it in any way. It just, I just had this, very often when I'm working and something flashes to me, I act on it, I mean, I don't mean I act that second,
right.
But I get the flash, and I didn't know where it came from, so to speak.
Is that a felt sense that helps create that? Or?
It's more of a idea, and maybe an image. Yeah, and there's always something, feeling goes with it, excitement or fear, risk, a feeling of risk, or whatever. So very often, and that's one of the things I love about marathons, much more than the weekly groups. You know, I get much more creative in a marathon. Like in this past weekend in the marathon, I used some singing and such. I don't ordinarily won't do that. In a 2-hour group, I don't get stimulated that way, you know, very rarely. But in a marathon, almost invariably, you know, juices flow much stronger. Yeah.